But Obama stands by his fairness approach to taxation, and the reality couldn't be further from the truth. Obama has said that he plans to mimic Clinton-era rates for capital gains. Under Clinton, the capital gains tax went from 28 to 20%. Prior to 1997, before the Taxpayer Relief Act was implemented, which he signed begrudgingly, a decade had only seen 2 years of sporadic 4% growth in the economy, okay? Following the Relief Act, there were 3 consecutive years of over 4% of economic growth once he slashed those capital gains taxes 8%, from 1997 through the end of 1999, demonstrating that a reduced capital gains tax worked to spur the economy, not the opposite. And that's from the U.S. News and World Report, just for the record. Obama was quoting when interviewed by Chris Wallace on Fox News Sunday as saying, rich people didn't mind paying 28% under Clinton. Well, the fact is they did mind. In the years following the Taxpayer Relief Act, capital investment in the country tripled. People often claim, including Obama, that after Clinton's tax hikes in the 90s, the economy boomed. Well, the real economic boom followed the cuts made in the latter part of the 90s. In 1998, the first year that capital gains tax cut was in place, venture capital investment, which is, as I said, a backbone of the economic activity and progress we see in the marketplace, saw a 3-fold increase, according to the Treasury Department. And that was reported by the Heritage Foundation. The bottom line is you don't tax us more to spur economic growth. It doesn't work. And in Ireland is a fantastic example. And I'll go over that real quickly. During the 80s and 90s, Ireland's economy was one of the worst in Europe. The country proceeded to cut its corporate tax rate from 50 to 12.5% and reduce government spending by more than 20%. Now, Ireland ranks among Europe's wealthiest countries. From 1990 to 2005, Ireland's jobs doubled. The economy grew at 6% rate concurrently. Following the 2003 tax cuts in America, the economy saw a drastic revival of the economy after 9/11. Now I'm going to talk about the third and final tax, the windfall profit tax. Currently, Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi are selling the idea that somehow less supply will bring the cost of gas down substantially, whereas a greater supply will only reduce the cost of gas a few cents. Now, I'm not an energy analyst, but that just doesn't make any sense. When it's touted that somehow 70 million barrels will have a greater reduction in the price of oil than 86 billion barrels, somebody's just not thinking about what they're saying. Obama has proposed energy rebates for Americans to subsidize the cost of the rising gas prices. His plan is to use this windfall profits tax to cover that, to fund that, essentially. The windfall profits tax is a penalty. He calls it a penalty on companies when oil is trading above $80 a barrel. He justifies this by saying that the global demand has skyrocketed because of failed fiscal policies and the like. The revenues from these taxes would, again, be invested to combat the rising costs for families, including the energy rebates, so on and so forth. But the bottom line is, right now, these numbers are still getting calculated as we speak in D.C., but the fact is, it's not anywhere close to being covered with a windfall profits tax. He's outspent his britches before he even got into office, and it's a little scary. Anyway, finally, I'm running out of time here, so I just want to talk about the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, which is something that was implemented in Colorado in 1992, and it's essentially a state constitutional amendment that limits the growth of state tax revenue to a formula that utilizes population growth and inflation as the 2 main variables. TABOR, as we call it, saved the taxpayers of Colorado over $3 billion in excess revenue, and the taxpayers of the state got all that money back. Currently, Americans for Prosperity and other organizations are calling on congressmen to sign, basically to support a TABOR amendment in their state, and if they do, we'll release press coverage on them and support them and back them. So if you want to ask some more about TABOR, please come up to me afterward or see Jonathan Bandy. Americans for Prosperity has done a lot on that, and we're really trying to get the word out on that. Okay? So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And that brings us to the end of this segment of the program. We're going to take about a 10-minute break. If you have questions, please pass those. Jonathan, can you raise your hand? Because they need to make sure they get those to you. And when we come back from about a 10-minute break, pass them to the middle. We'll have about a 10-minute break. We're going to come back and bring our panelists up. And one thing I'd ask you to consider as we're breaking is, do taxpayers care about tax increases? Because in North Carolina, we've grown our government much faster than inflation and population over the past 8 years.